This podcast is part of the Deluxe Edition Network. To find other great shows on the network, head over to deluxeeditionnetwork.com. That's deluxeeditionnetwork.com.
Coffee Fueled Stories. Coffee Fitness Unicorn. Coffee Fitness Unicorn. Hello. I'm Coffee Fitness Unicorn, your pocket DJ, and you're listening to Coffee Chats Podcast, a show where storytelling and coffee hang out. Today's special guest is R.K. Higgins, author of Afterburn and Afterburn Blood Rush. In this episode, we talk about the Tarantino writing method, cybergoth culture, and what happens when you give an 8-year-old coffee at Grandpa's funeral. Thank you for listening. Don't forget, subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss any crazy stories. Go forth and be magical. This week's special guest is author R.K. Higgins. Hello, welcome to the show.
Hello, pleasure to be here.
I'm so glad to have you. This is so cool. I know we've been talking for a while on the Instagram, so it's very cool to have you here to talk about your book, or I should say books. So I've got Afterburn and Afterburn Blood Rush. Would you like to tell us about your books?
Sure. They're sci-fi anti-gravity racing in a cyberpunk world. Centers around a young man named Remy Regan. He's a young fellow who's wants to pursue his dream of going pro, just like his mom. I don't want to spoil too much, but she did it before him, and he learns about that later and discovers it's kind of in his genes to do that.
That's so cool. Can we go ahead and deep dive into that? I've got some questions about the book. I've got some questions for you.
Absolutely.
Are you a pilot? Do you fly aircraft, or do you race?
Nothing like that. None of it. I'm a gamer, and I played a game called Wipeout on the Sony PlayStation, anti-gravity ships, and that was what inspired it. It really, I said, you know what? This game doesn't really go into the politics and what's behind the scenes in that world, so I'm going to go ahead and jump into it.
So you mentioned mom. So without giving anything away, however, I would like to address her name because I don't know if this was intentional or not. Christy Connors Reagan. And did you stick that Connors in there for a reason with the whole?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. Yeah. Awesome. That's so cool. I was hoping you were going to say that.
Yeah.
So I got super excited, as if you couldn't tell. I don't have my action figure with me because she is actually in my my gym bag. But I have a Linda Hamilton, Sarah Connors action figure.
Terminator 2, one of the best movies of all time.
Hells yeah! And she goes to the gym with me every day.
Nice.
She was
a badass.
Yes.
She blew my mind in Terminator 2. I thought, man, if I could do half as many pull-ups as her someday, I'll be all right. I'll be in good shape.
Right. And I was doing my homework on you, and I wanted to ask you about that. So you're into martial arts, boxing, kettlebells. Do you have a fitness routine, or do you just like to get some energy out, so to speak?
There's a little bit of ADD for sure, ADHD over here. So I get bored pretty easily. So that would be why through the years I've jumped around fitness-wise. And I do have a steady routine now because as I get older, I'm pretty much discovering that I can't do quite as many incredible things as I used to when I was young. So I stick to powerlifting mainly now. I go on a site, West Side Barbell. Louis Simmons is his name, and he has a method called the conjugate method that he trains in. So I use chains, bands, things that are easy on the joints to put on the barbell.
Cool.
And just try and stay strong at this point because I'm 39 years old, and I find each day, for some reason, life gets a little more hard physically than it used to be.
Right?
Yeah.
I feel you. Literally, I feel you on that. I did so I've got a new training program that I'm doing, and with a coach. So I don't have a leg press. So I had to do an alternate, and when I did the alternate, it like killed my knee. And so I explained like what was happening and that this was really weird. I've never had this happen before. And so he gave me a couple different new alternates that weren't knee. They were more hinge. So you bend more at the hip. And I did legs yesterday. And so I did his, and he was quad focused, quad, hams, and glutes. So I'm surprised I can even walk today.
Yeah, I don't know about you, but it hits me on the second day.
I was going to say, I'll probably not be able to walk tomorrow. Yep. I don't know why that is. So I'm trying to hydrate. So I don't know if you have water with you as well. I have my ginormous jug. Nice.
Keeping it hydration for sure.
I'm behind. It's set at 2 p.m. right now, and it's I'm an hour behind on my water, so I'll get cranking on it here soon.
I'm bad for that. I've got a bad habit. I don't stay hydrated enough at work or in my personal time. It's too much coffee, too much tea.
Thank you for saying that, because that's me. I want my water to be coffee, right?
It's delicious.
There's
no two ways about it. It's delicious.
So, okay, so that's my favorite question. How much coffee do you drink in a day? Especially you're a very busy dad. How much coffee do you drink in a day? And what is your go-to coffee?
I try to stick to tea, but you know what? There's this thing called the New Yorker. Sorry, my chair's all squeaky. But there's this thing called the New Yorker in the town I live in. I'm from St. Thomas, Canada. And there's a little cafe called Steamliners, because it's known as, the train town, St. Thomas. And anyways, they have this thing called the New Yorker, and it is a espresso shot with steamed milk, cinnamon, and caramel in it. And my goodness, it's good. So I try and have a few of those a week, as many as I can.
Oh, that sounds amazing. Oh my gosh. Oh, I'm going to have to recreate that. Actually, I'll have Brandy recreate that at home. I leave all the baristaing to her.
Yeah.
She makes it and I drink it. I'm like,
she used to own a coffee shop, yeah?
Yes, she did. Yes.
So lucky. So lucky.
It's I feel pretty spoiled. Like every now and then she'll be like, oh, I think I'm going to try to experiment with something. How does blah, blah, blah sound? And I'm like, you make it, I'll drink it. I'll let you know.
I like those little bistros, like the little, places, not the big box places. They tend to have better designer drinks, better ingredients, better everything, really.
Oh yeah, things are made with love as opposed to made on a grand scale, so to speak. But yes, I 100% agree with you on that. So you had mentioned dogs and cats, and your Instagram there's so much personality about your pets. Can we talk about your pets for a minute?
Oh, we can talk about anything you like.
Oh my God, the personality on your pets. Like, if I'm having a down day, all I have to do is go to your page and see your silly little animals, and just that's one of the things I love about your Instagram page is I crack up. I love so I have in here for my notes, your writer memes that you do. Seriously, like if I go to it on a regular basis. So let's talk about the writer memes. Let's actually go back to the writer memes.
Sure. Yeah.
So when you're stuck in your whatever mode you're in, right? So you're trying to write because some of them you actually, they're like others, and some you actually create. So Do you have like a bunch of those that you hang on to and release them when you're like in that mood? Or
I'll
do
tell
you
you
just,
what it is inspired by, for sure.
yeah,
I'll tell you what it's
yeah.
inspired by. It's called procrastination at its best. So, like, brain fog or classic writer's block. Well, you know what? It's time to make a few memes,
Oh
and
my God.
we just go from there. So,
I'm serious. That's like that one day when I was doing my homework and I blew up your page. I was literally dying. I like the one that sticks in my head is the guy talking to the wall. I love that one. And then your is it the Mandalorian talking we don't talk about the whip, because I was going to ask you about the whip. I'm wearing my Boba Fett socks, just so you know. I wore them just for you.
Oh, did you? Yes. Excellent. Yeah, we could talk about the whip. I kind of shy away from it because I'm a little bit superstitious like that.
I get it. Whatever you want to share, how you can go into detail, or if you want, we can just for you listeners, we're going to cut it out so you don't get to hear this.
No, it's okay. Though my current whip, I'm actually querying with agents because my editor said you got to query this. Don't just self-publish, because when I get something, I get excited and I kind of hit the publish button right away. I'm on it, right? As most writers are, they get excited about their manuscript and they want to get it out there, right? But this one is
comedy/horror. That's
awesome.
it. If you want, if we can literally just, this is his whip. It's a comedy/horror, and just leave it at that.
Yeah, I've never done a podcast before, so it's all new to me, really.
No worries. And this is strictly just a conversation between us that other people happen to listen to.
Your show is so terrific, honestly.
Oh, thank you.
You do good work. It's not your first podcast, is it?
It is my first podcast. I've never podcasted before.
You're so good. Like I thought you have done another show. It's good. It's really good.
Thank you. It's just so I started out as a journalism major. Way back when. In 8th grade, we had to have a media class, and I fell in love with the broadcasting class. And so, like I said, this was 8th grade, so I was 13. I loved the behind the scenes. I didn't want to be the person talking, so I didn't want to be the newscast. And so when I found out that you could be the producer, you could be the editor, I got super excited, and I went to my teacher and I was like, oh my God, like this is great. And so he encouraged it. Everyone had to get in front of the camera. I was terrified. And so I said, can I do movies and weather? And they were like, yeah, sure. Because I was like, I really don't want to read the news. I was terrified to be in front of the camera. I said I was happy being behind it. I think that's kind of like where my love of like being behind the scenes came out. And so when it came time for me to be in front of the camera and film, I did like a really silly movie review. And then I did the weather, and I just like looked out. So I was looking at the camera and I was like, and now the weather. And then I looked out the window and I was like, it looks like it's a beautiful day. And like seeing, like, I was like, and we're done. I don't want to be on the camera anymore.
I hear you, introvert over here. So,
right.
Yeah, that's definitely my kryptonite.
I get it. So that's why doing this podcast, using the book as like a window, like that's how we can start the conversation. And, everybody always, what makes us as introverts work so well is because this is a private conversation. Like this is you and me. We're talking, we're hanging out together. There aren't 20 people in the room, because if there are 20 people in the room, you and I would just be looking at each other, nodding with our coffee cups. Hey,
yeah.
Like
absolutely. Absolutely, I know what you're saying. Yeah, absolutely.
So the fact that we can do this is awesome, because again, it's just us. There's nothing. There's no external. Now I know you, like you said, you've got the animals and your children. Which, by the way, let's talk about that.
Sure.
So you have the dedication in Afterburn, which, thank you for signing these, by the way. That was really cool.
No problem.
You have in here, and I'm going to read it really quickly if I can get to the correct page, which I thought this was beautiful. To my son, Carter, never let the flame that is your imagination be extinguished by someone that doesn't share in its beauty. Dad.
Absolutely. Yeah, I still have that in my notes on my phone. I thought about that. He was having a hard time in his school. He was getting bullied a little bit. And I thought, you know what, your ideas are beautiful. Your ideas are yours. And I won't swear on your podcast, but there might have been an F-bomb dropped. Don't let the kids, make you cry, and don't let them hurt your feelings. Your ideas are amazing, and don't be afraid to share them. So I wanted to put something in writing in there. So, years later, maybe he picks up that book when he's a little bit older, because it's a little bit above his head still. And he looks at it and he goes, wow, I'm going to cherish that.
Have you noticed how Coffee Fueled Stories doesn't have any ads? That's because I work tirelessly to keep this show alive. After 3 years on my own, I've decided I need to ask for your help. I've never asked anyone to subscribe. I've never asked anyone to leave a review. I've never asked anyone to rate the show. And I've never asked anyone to pay to listen. There are a few ways you can help support the show. I've created a Patreon page, Coffee Fueled Stories, and a subscription section on my podcast website. It's simple to support and help me keep my dream alive. Just click the link in the show notes to set up your paid subscription option. It's that easy. Thank you for your support. That's awesome. That is really awesome. And then book 2 is for To My Sweet Angel Claire.
Yeah.
That is like so sweet.
Yeah, they're wonderful kids. I'm pretty lucky, honestly. They keep me super busy, but it's worth it.
Now, are they I know you've done a few trips to was it Fan? It's kind of like a Comic-Con.
Yeah, and in Toronto, it's like they have a Comic-Con in Toronto as well, but Fan Expo, pretty much it's more broad, and this was before COVID, because COVID kind of killed everything. Unfortunately, it was not a good time. They had to shut it down. They're bringing it back now, but we'll go there. They have anime. They've got pretty much Q&A panels, writers, authors, actors. It's incredible. It's a very interesting venue, and that's in Toronto.
So are they into space? Like, do they have favorite characters that like when you guys went to the event? Like, did they?
Yeah, my son's really into cars, and that was another thing that influenced the book. He is cool. so into cars and sports cars. It's just become contagious. I was not a car guy at all, but his love of Lamborghinis and McLarens and Miatas and everything, like all the cars that I didn't know the names of until he was, Dad, look at this. It definitely rubbed off.
So let's go with that. So you have a lot of Speed Racer references in the book.
Yeah, anime, Speed Racer.
So did you watch the cartoon back in the 70s?
When I was young, yeah. When I was younger. I'm an 80s baby, but it came into my life for sure.
Do you have a favorite character from Speed Racer, or is it Speed Racer? So you've got Speed Racer, Trixie, you got Chim Chim, Racer X.
It would be Speed Racer. I can't really remember all their names because it's been so long, but Speed Racer would be the one.
Very cool. And because as I was reading the book, I noticed that there were like some similarities, and I don't know if it's because like you have a race team, and so you always have various characters that create a team. And so when you had dropped Speed Racer like early on, it kind of popped into my head, and I remember Trixie, the sidekick, Chim Chim. And so as I'm reading your book, I'm kind of connecting like some of the characters. So I was like, did he intentionally do that? Like, is Cindy supposed to be Trixie? I was like, and then Chim Chim is Razor Chim Chim with a green mohawk. Like,
No, it wasn't that much connected, but the Speed Racer reference was definitely in there just for, for fun, because it's racing, right? So it was
yeah.
influenced by it. Yeah.
Are you familiar with like, do you read or have you read Philip K. Dick Blade Runner? Well, it wasn't called Blade Runner. It was Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep?
I have all sorts of
those two
Philip K.
books.
Dick books upstairs. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's so cool. I love that guy. I'm gonna nerd out a little bit about Philip K. Dick.
Yep.
So I went to Cal State Fullerton, and he went to Cal State Fullerton. And when I had my science fiction class, we obviously read Philip K. Dick. And then the professor had pointed out that we were getting a Philip K. Dick section in the library, like a whole section dedicated to him, because he's from Orange County. He was like in Santa Ana, like I don't think the house that he lived in is still there. I think it might be demolished now. But I kind of went on like this crazy Philip K. Dick like rabbit hole. I was like, he went here, he lived here, like what?
I wish I had the time for it. And his books are actually hard to find for some reason up here. We have like chapters in Indigo, and there was maybe 2 of his novels. I bought one that has an anthology of short stories that he did in it, but there was just 2 in the whole store. It was
whoa.
Yeah, it was not fun.
That's crazy, because he's like prolific in the science fiction world. Okay, well then that does it. I'm just gonna, if I find any at any of the stores, any of the places that we go to, I'm just gonna have to send them up your way. So
I'll have to go over the border or something. Yeah.
2 things I loved about your book, and let's go ahead and tap into that. So you have a diner in space, and they eat diner food, which of course I was just totally loving it. And like the milkshakes, I thought that was just like freaking brilliant. Oh, and by the way, on page 17, you introduce coffee in space, and I literally highlighted the crap every time there was coffee in your book. I highlighted it. So anybody who gets this book after me is gonna know that I was a coffee reader. So by the way, freaking awesome that you stuck coffee in there. That's so cool.
You gotta do it.
I love it. And here, so I'm actually gonna let's tell the listeners what we discovered on page 17, because I just thought it was freaking cool. I looked at the drink Vic had given me. It was some kind of beer that had been infused with Earth's coffee bean. Coffee was a rare and expensive commodity since it was only grown on Turnian Prime and available mostly to the rich. He just stuck coffee and beer in here, and I was like,
you reminded me of that. I actually forgot about that. That was my brother-in-law coming over, and we were drinking a Quebec beer called Péché Mortel. It is a stout infused with coffee, and my goodness, Péché Mortel, if you can ever get it.
You got it. I've tried a few. I'm not much of a beer drinker, but if it says peanut butter or coffee, I'll try it.
Good. Yeah, it's from Quebec.
Awesome. And then I enjoyed it and took in its sweet coffee infused taste. And everywhere you have coffee in here, you want coffee, Remy? I've never had an actual coffee due to the rarity of it back home. This is delicious, Vic. Thanks. Oh yeah, I went nuts. For the coffee in there.
There we go.
So here are my questions to you.
Sure.
About the diner, which again was so cool. What is your favorite diner food? Like, do you have a favorite thing that you get when you go to a diner?
The shakes and burgers may have been in there because I have a little bit of an addiction to them. It's going to be a good old chocolate shake and a burger. Five Guys, possibly, not for shakes, but for the burgers. Diner food is, it's delicious.
Oh my God. I go nuts. Diners is kind of like my ultimate weakness. Like, And it's so bad for you. It's like like it's the most unhealthy food.
You got to
But
have him work it off, right?
right, exactly. I'm like, I want a grilled cheese and I want chili cheese fries.
I'm jealous of you guys. You guys have the In-N-Out down there.
Oh, I am. I grew, so being from Southern California, I grew up on In-N-Out, and I hope you'll appreciate this. This is kind of like a dad moment. So when my parents had separated and gotten divorced, and then both remarried, I would go visit my father on the weekends, and part of hanging out with my dad. So my dad taught me to watch. So I learned about football, not soccer. So like American style football, pizza, and drinking Coca-Cola. And then he taught me how to belch very, very loudly. So that's a dad moment. And then we would go and I would help him mow the lawn. So on the weekends he had to like mow the lawn, and I would help him with like the lawn clippings and stuff. And our reward was a double.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I was like
goodness.
10 and I could tear into a double because we had mowed the lawn. Like he put me to work. Like I was a 10-year-old little girl, but my dad was like, nope, you're here, you're helping me do the yard. And I was like, okay, whatever you say, Dad.
Was there instant regret on the energy level, or there was ulterior motives?
Totally worth it. It was I didn't know. I had never had a double before, so I was 10 the first time I had a double, and like from that point on I was like, I knew what my reward was. So anytime he was like, you want to work on the yard with me, and I'm like, you got it. He was like, I need to go build the attic. We're turning the garage into a back bedroom. You want to help me? And I was like, because I knew what was coming.
You're taking me back. My cousins, the first time I had coffee, you just reminded me. It's at my grandfather's funeral, and my cousins took me down into the guest waiting area where they were serving coffee, and try this, have a sip of it. Next thing you know, bouncing off the walls, they loaded me up with so much coffee and sugar. My parents were not happy. They didn't know what happened, but it was not the perfect place to be giving. I think I was 8 years old. Hopped up on caffeine and sugar at my grandfather's funeral. It was a bad time. It was funny. They knew what they were doing. And that was the first time I tried coffee. It was delicious. It was delicious. But yeah.
That is an amazing coffee story. Oh my God. I'm sorry for your loss, but that's a great story.
Yeah, hey, everybody deals with loss differently. I guess they're like, well, let's just load up her 8-year-old cousin on coffee. That'll be fun.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. Oh man. Oh, I'm gonna need to okay. Okay. I'm sorry.
That's all right. My cousins, that's my cousins for you.
Oh man, like I've had like silly family moments, but I'm gonna say that one's you get the prize for that one. I think so you enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm.
When was the next time you had it again?
I think I was barred from coffee for a while after that by my parents. They found out eventually. Like, what happened? Well, I tried coffee. No way. It wasn't until the energy drinks rolled around that I tried caffeine again.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's hilarious. That is again, I'm not laughing at your loss. I'm laughing at the
That's what you get when you have Celtic roots, Irish and Scottish family background.
Oh my gosh.
Wild kids.
Do you speak Irish or any Gaelic? I mean, no, the general term is Gaelic, but it's
Gaelic, yeah. I can't speak Gaelic, but my wife's grandmother does, and it is an impressive language. I can only decipher very few words.
Now, my accent or my pronunciation might be off, but if I remember correctly, I think it's Chanil. Is that no? Or yes?
I can't remember. I know it's very similar to Deutsch, and Ich spreche Deutsch nur ein bisschen. So I know you do as well, right? On one of your podcasts, you said a
Un
little bit.
poquito.
Yeah, nur ein bisschen. I know it's very similar because when I speak German with her grandmother, it sounds, some of the stuff sounds the same.
Yeah, it has that Germanic influence that at the base of it. Yeah, it has the sounds. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So then, yeah, you'll appreciate my Celtic tattoo. There, you can see it right there. My spiral of life.
I love it.
So I was born on May 1st, which is Beltane. And that is a very big day in the Celtic calendar, my understanding is. And then the opposite of that is Halloween, so Samhain, because you have the spring and then the fall. So those are the two big days in the Celtic calendar, my understanding is, correct?
You must be, yeah. I was actually born on Robbie Burns Day. He's a famous Scottish poet, and then wouldn't you know it, I'm writing years later, trying to keep that day alive, I guess. But
that's so cool.
Yeah, January 25th is my birthday. I didn't even know it was a Spanish holiday until my mom said we were going to name you Robert, but we already had a Robert in the family, and we were going to name you after this poet because you were born on that day, but we didn't end up doing it.
That is, oh man, that's crazy. So now I'm gonna have to go in and dig up some snippets and insert them into your into the podcast notes, because that's just too freaking cool. I'm gonna have to find something that is suitable for you as a link, because that's just too cool. Oh my gosh. Now, did you name your children? Obviously we don't have to go into their names because but do you guys have Celtic names or Gaelic names for them?
My wife was insistent on naming them. She said, "You didn't carry them for 9 months. You're not naming them." And I said, "Understood." And I respect that, because you are correct. I didn't put in the work. I didn't put in much work at all. So we had an amicable agreement that she was going to name them. So Carter is my son's name. Claire is not really a Celtic name. I guess you could say it's Celtic because she stole it from the show Outlander, and she loves that show. So she named it after the protagonist in that show. She named her after the protagonist in that show.
Very cool.
Yeah.
I do believe Claire is, I think that there might be, I'll have to go Google that. But I think it is, it's definitely got some, I think it's got some Scottish roots. Well, and of course, right now, once we publish this, all of the listeners who do know are screaming at the podcast right now, saying yes, or it's right here. I've got the answer for you. So, thank you, everybody listening.
Yeah.
In the books, to segue into folklore, since we are talking about Celtics, I guess you could say that this would be Celtic lore. Well, you'll correct me. Silver bullet with a werewolf face. You have that on one of the, now I just call it magnapods or pods.
Yeah, pod, yeah.
Not to be confused with podcast, because that's something completely different. This is magnetic racing pods, which is so freaking cool. So as I'm reading your book and you're describing some of the things, you describe Remy and his skull helmet, and then the LED lights in her hair. And now, do you say Lena or is it Lina?
Yeah, Lena. Her name's Kalina, but they
right.
shorten it. Yeah, they shorten it to Lena.
Okay, because I was saying it Lena, because I was like, it kind of makes sense for Kalina, not Kalina. But again, just confirming.
Yep.
But yeah, her hair is freaking cool with the LED lights.
They're kind of the outcasts. They're the cyborg heathens, they call them.
Right.
Anybody in that squad usually has cybernetics, but they make an exception for Remy because of his skill and talent. And they kind of become a family, right? They stick together and become a family, and he's willing to do things that he didn't possibly imagine himself doing, because, you know, love will do strange things to you.
Right. We already talked about Philip K. Dick, but in addition to kind of the look and feel, and I'm asking this not in like
Derivative sense.
Yeah, never to be disrespectful.
No worries.
It's like so Fifth Element, because I freaking love Fifth Element.
Mm-hmm.
And so I wasn't sure. It kind of, so I felt like there were like a little bit of like Fifth Element vibes, but not 100%. And I don't know if that's just because it's like futuristic space, or that's just me. I don't know. But has anybody like else?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Not Fifth Element as much as Blade Runner, because
Of course.
beta readers were saying, oh, these holographic billboards and stuff, it makes me feel like kind of Blade Runner-ish. And I wasn't really going for that, but I mean, I wouldn't object to it because I love Blade Runner. So maybe on an unconscious level, I went, you know, let's put those billboards in there, holographic billboards, you know, futuristic feel, futuristic vibe for various cities and scenes. But yeah, as far as Fifth Element goes, I was actually more inspired by like the wardrobe of actual culture from Earth. Like there's these people called Cybergoth. There's a Cybergoth culture. That's what inspired the look and feel of the cyborg heathens. Their dreadlocks, their, you know, high Doc Marten type boots, all that kind of stuff. Their corsets. That's what the cyborg heathens wear. It's inspired by the Cybergoth culture.
Fair. I've got Cyberpunk in here for my notes, but I didn't realize about the Cybergoth. So that totally makes sense, because Lena's boots, you mentioned like her boots, how they're like super high, her fishnets, like they've got like sometimes they've got some cuts and tears in them. And what's really, I like how you how Remy, when Remy is describing her and like appreciate, like you can tell that he is I don't want to get perverted about this, but you can tell that he's attracted to her, right? Like you can feel like there's like a little bit of sexual,
no
like he and the way, but the reason I want to talk about this is because you can tell like it's new to him. You can feel the how he is he's kind of like, wow, like this lady, you know, this woman. And
he can't believe that he's even among these celebrities that he's been watching from afar, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he doesn't have like this dirty boy, like, you know what I mean? Like he's very, you can wholesome, like you can feel the wholesomeness. So like you call him the farm boy, and he's not when he's describing her, he's not, you can tell he's not leering. That's what I'm getting at, is he's not leering. He's not being overtly sexual about the way he's describing her. And I thought that was really cool.
Yeah. I mean, the book was intended for young adults, but more adults have read it. So I wanted to make him a morally driven, respectful character, right?
Yes.
So I modeled them actually after some of my traits, and oftentimes I was stuck, I'd go, well, what would I do in this situation? So it was just an easy character to write because I just kind of went inside my own head for that. But I tried to stay as clean and as really morally driven as possible, because I wanted to make the book sound respectful. And if a young person picks it up and they get immersed in it, I want them to take away something good. Like I want them to know, you know, say you can have family outside of family, for example, like the Revolution Science team. They're not related, but they stick together and they love each other. They're a family. The bond only gets stronger through the story, right?
Absolutely. And I don't want to give any we don't want to do any spoilers. No spoilers.
Yeah.
But I do like how you do push Remy's character. Like you can really see where, like, again, getting back to this, the wholesome and the moral compass, like you can really feel that, you can sense that like right from the start. But you can also feel when he's being pushed, and you're like, how is he going to handle it? Like, what is he going to do? And again, no spoilers.
Yeah.
No spoilers. So since you brought up a couple of points about the cyborg heathens, right?
Yep.
So you have alliteration with the names of the companies. Cygnus Cyborgs, Mantis Magnetics, and Singularity Systems, with the exception of Revolutionary Science or Revolution Science. Was all of that intentional?
Absolutely, yeah. I wanted it to flow. I wanted some good names, and I thought most of these companies they have a lot of Earth history kind of thing. So they're obviously going to be named from things that they're going to be nostalgic about. They're going to miss their, constellations like Cygnus the Swan, so Cygnus Concepts. They're going to miss things from Earth because they've colonized a new bunch of planets. So yeah, those names came from that, basically just astrological things from Earth.
That's so cool. And where can I buy the t-shirts?
That's what I want to do.
Oh my god!
But, yeah,
oh
I
my
think
god!
it'd be great. Yeah.
I was, when you describe, I think was it Lena who was, I can't remember if it was Cindy or Lena. There was a scene, so I apologize for confusing the two. I think it might have been Lena when Remy goes to visit her, and she's wearing I think might have been like a tank top or something like that from one of the sponsors.
Yes.
And I was like, where do I get one of those?
Cygnus Concepts. Yeah. The company that she was racing for before her accident.
That's right. She's
going to have her own standalone book as well.
Oh, no way. That's so cool. That's so cool.
The prequel.
That's going to be freaking awesome because I really did enjoy her character. I thought and Aunt Mila was cool too. And then again, the mom, we don't want to give any spoilers.
Okay.
But you did a really cool job with creating all of these characters, and Vic, and
Vic
Razor.
Was my favorite character. Vic was my favorite character.
Really?
Yeah, I love a good. Well, I can't say.
Yeah. I was
but yeah, Vic was definitely my favorite character, and he's heavy in the second one. He's a very heavy in the second one. A big part of it.
I apologize for not getting to the second one yet, but I will. Yeah. Afterburn, Blood Rush. Oh, which reminds me. So I wanted to ask you, because I noticed the character's eye color on this one. So his yellow, and you talk about the yellow eyes and how they wear blue contacts. Like, where did you come up with these ideas, or like were you influenced by some of the
absolutely. Like I said, with the young adult books, I wanted real issues that people are going to face, and I thought, what would discrimination look like, and would it travel through the ages? And unfortunately, I think it's not something we can extinguish, even though we try so hard. Even in this day and age, in the future, I would hope that it would be more like a Star Trek, where you wouldn't see much of it. But it was heavily influenced by actual, issues that young adults might face in reality. So I put it in there, and I thought, why would she be covering up her eyes? Like, why would she be covering up the color of her eyes? Because, well, she's an Eternian, she's an alien race, and the Earth people kind of frown upon them, unfortunately, in that story.
That is, I loved how you infused real issues, and that you did it in such a subtle way. Like, you could see what was happening, but at the same time, it wasn't overt. And then, like you said, the people that were shouting out cyborg heathens, Oh, by the way, I love the bouncer at the club, the Iron Cast. I think that's what it was called.
The guy who was going to take him on the tour of a dumpster.
Yeah. And then I was like, again, you just had, there were scenes that you just had so much fun. Yeah, like I could actually like see the environment. I could see everything. I could feel anything. Again, it was like, and I wrote one of my favorite things here. I'm gonna have to show you this because this is just, I hope you can read this. So I in my highlighter, where is it? You have coffee in space in like huge purple. I love that you did the things that you did in space. And so I would every now and then I would be reading and then I would just stop and I'm like, hell yeah.
Appreciate that.
Hell yeah. So even though I know this book was not intended for me, I still had a lot of fun with it.
I actually had a bigger adult audience than a young adult audience. You intend for one audience to read it, and then there's a large group of adults that read young adult. I had, no idea until you hop on the saddle, and then, you get all these adult reviews, and they're enjoying the book. But I'm thankful that anybody really enjoys the book, because at the end of the day, you just want to put some joy into people's lives in this crazy world we live in, right? It's far too serious. So
for
sure,
sure,
make somebody smile. So be it.
Totally. Now, did you know you wanted to write a book? Like, have you always known you wanted to be like a writer?
Yeah,
and author?
actually, I started out at 34, and I wanted to write a memoir, which I still haven't written. It's got some chapters into it. By day, I'm an animal control officer. I work with animals. So I wanted to write a memoir about that because it is a crazy job. It's a wild job. And I knew that I couldn't do it justice at the age of 34 because I just started out, hadn't found my voice in writing, was really on just a journey to discover how to write. So a bunch of courses in creative writing later, night school, 5 manuscripts later, finally, I am coming back to the memoir now. But along that path, I discovered my voice, which was for the first novel. My voice was first person male perspective. So I did that, and it came out, really well. And then for the second book, I discovered that I wanted to have a split story. So I did third person limited, and then first person male perspective again with Remy Regan. But I didn't intend to write sci-fi. I kind of fell into it. I was inspired by a video game and went, you know what, this needs a good story. Let's do this. And the rest is history.
That is so cool. That is so cool. And so do you have like a writing process? Do you come home at night? And I would like to talk about the animal control if you want.
Oh, absolutely. You can.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
anything
cool.
you want to talk about, we can. I'm easy going.
Okay, cool.
I do have a process for the writing.
Okay.
It's not really OCD. I guess you could call it that. I was watching an interview with Quentin Tarantino and how he writes for his movies, and I had no idea I shared the same process with him. I thought I was just weird the way I do it, but it has to be chronological. Every chapter has to be chronological, and I have to power through. I don't jump in anywhere. I don't plan too much. I plan like the end, the climactic scene, and the beginning, but then I just fly by the seat of my pants and let it go, let the story go where it may. And I have an idea of the characters' personalities, but I let the story mostly fill itself out.
That's the Tarantino method. I had no idea. That is so cool. Yeah. You have the Tarantino method.
That's what he does.
It. That is I had no idea. No, I'm like, okay, my cheeks hurt because I'm smiling so hard because I freaking love the guy, and I had no idea that was the Tarantino method. Like,
he's pretty cool. I love From Dusk Till Dawn, Kill Bill. Good movie.
Yes. Oh my God. Okay, so I was going back to school, and I can't remember which of the Tarantino. It might have been Pulp Fiction. I don't think my mom had seen Pulp Fiction, and so I was watching it with my mom, and my mom just couldn't believe. She was like, this movie, you know, she didn't know about the violence and stuff like that. So half the time, you know, I'm like, Mom, don't watch. I'll tell you when the scene's over. I'll tell you when the scene's over. And then of course, you know, my favorite scene is when they're all talking about the coffee. I mean, that was just freaking brilliant.
Oh,
right.
Sure.
And I thought one day I'll never forget. I was pulling into the parking lot at school. So I hadn't even gone to university. This is like baby university. So community college. And I was pulling in, and I was listening to Quentin Tarantino. I think he might've been talking on like NPR or something like that. And I was thinking, if I ever ran into Quentin Tarantino, and I'm going to have to cut this out because no one's going to have, so this is just for you. I was like, if I ever, like, I'm ever going to run into him anyway. But I was like, if I ever run into Quentin Tarantino, I am literally going to run up to him and dry hump his leg.
Oh, don't cut that out.
I'm totally going to cut that out.
No, I might do the same thing, to tell you the truth. Don't cut that out.
And I was like, I'm going to run up to him and I'm going to be like, I love you. And then, okay, bye.
Okay, well, you and me both. You and Liv will both do that, because he is one talented dude, and hopefully that some of it would rub off.
Right? Oh my God! Like, he's like, out of all of so the fact that you shared the Tarantino method, like, that gives me hope, because I want to write I'm working on my memoir. So if I was to talk about my whips, and I'm not really talking about it, but I am with you. I have two that I've been hoarding and working on forever. And one is a memoir, and I just don't know where to start. I don't know how to start. I don't know. And that you said the magic, like, do I go chronologically? Do I start from my childhood? Do I work my way through? Do I switch all over the place? Like, I have no idea. I don't know where to start.
My answer is anything that works. Just get the words on the page, right?
Thank you. I know. That's what I used to tell my students. Just throw up on the paper. Just write, get your words out. So I guess I'll just have to apply the same principles to myself then. Just write.
That's right. What I do. And then when in doubt, procrastinate and make memes. Okay.
Your memes. I freaking love your memes. I do. I'm serious. I might have to have some fun. I might stick some of your memes. Like, I'm trying to think of how I can do like a teaser or a promo for your episode. And I think maybe that's what I'll do. I'll stick a few of your here. I'm actually gonna see if I can pull up your page here real quick. So let's go with the Steve Buscemi. How do you do, you fellow kids? Oh my God. All of these memes, I don't dwell on my characters' names, but when I do, I waste all my writing time doing so. Like, I seriously love your memes. And then I was going to ask you, do you have dad jokes? Because it seems like you might have dad jokes.
Nah, no dad jokes over here.
No dad jokes.
I'm terrible at puns, and that's the thing. They're mostly puns, right?
Right.
And I suck at puns because I'm coming from a house that was all dad jokes. Like, I would stub my toe, my dad would be like, "Oh, you better call a tow truck." It's like, come on, Dad. Like, are you serious right now? So I dropped the torch there. No dad jokes over here. I can't carry on the torch.
Oh my God, I suck at puns. I'm right there with, like, I feel like I can write really gross horror and things like that, but ask me to create a pun and I'm stumped. I can't do it. So I have mad respect for punsters. Mad respect.
You're a member of the HWA, right?
Yes.
Excellent.
Yeah. Have you been a member for a long time?
No, I'm not a member. I didn't write horror, so I didn't join. I do have the comedy horror coming out, the work in progress. that I won't talk about,
Nope,
I guess.
nope,
But
nope.
yeah, but yeah, maybe I'll join. I'm not sure what the process is like there.
It's pretty painless. Without so this is not all about promoting the HWA, the Horror Writers Association. However, I'm going to show you this really cool thing. So when I cover up my camera on my laptop, this is actually what I used to cover it up with. It's
Nice.
a bit of it used to be a bookmark, and it was I got introduced to Horror Writers Association when I went to the Festival of Books at USC several years ago. And I had always thought about being a member. And I didn't have anything published. I hadn't even written anything other than so in my science fiction class at university, I also had a horror class with the same professor, and he introduced us to Michael Arnzen. And my mind was blown because he does flash horror, and I had no idea that genre even existed. And that's where I literally lost my mind and fell in love with that genre, horror, flash horror, and micro
that takes
flash.
some serious skill.
It's I love it because it's you get in and you get out. Like you just literally splat on the page, and then you get out. So this is why I have mad respect for you guys who write novels, because I feel like I don't have that in me. So that's why I'm like, one day maybe I will.
Here's the thing. I don't have it in me to write a short story. Like these courses that I do for creative writing, that's some of the requests are like 2,000 words or less. And I am over here going, oh no, like I want to go on for like 10,000 words, and I don't know how to cram all this into such a short. I don't know how to do it. It's a serious skill. It's an impressive skill if you can do it. I can't.
It's crazy because I feel like I can be verbose when I'm speaking. So like you and I can have a conversation with you for 10 hours. Not that we will, but I'm just saying I can be very chatty. But when I write, I'm extremely concise. Like it is succinct and saying it's get in, get out. Like my training manuals, when I read them, if I look at somebody's training manual and it's literally 108 pages, my face starts to melt. I'm like, no one's got time for that shit. No one's got time for that shit. I was like, I can turn your 108 pages into 16 pages. And they're like, no. And I'm like, no, you just like, what is the meat? So this is burgers. This is when we're going to come back to burgers, right? What's the meat? What do you need to know? What do you really need to know? And so like, for me, my writing process is just that. Like, I don't know how to fluff. I don't know how to give you the buns with the aioli, with the pickles. I don't know how to do that. I have respect for you guys because I don't know how to do that.
Appreciate it. Yeah.
So my memoir, I can just see my memoir. Here's mine. Here's me. This is what I did. And I'm still going. Shortest memoir ever. Oh my God, I just created a new genre. Flash memoir.
Flash memoir.
Micro memoir. Mike invented right here with you, Mr. R.K. Higgins.
I'll read it.
You just did.
Wow.
This is it.
Excellent.
This is my memoir.
It was an audiobook.
It just
audio flash memoir.
It flashed. All right, I'm gonna check my notes here because I want to make sure I didn't miss any questions. Okay, so alliteration, without giving anything away because we can't give anything away, and speed racer.
We can give stuff away.
do you? I was gonna say, do you want to give anything away?
We can you can give anything away, just don't give the big twist away.
Okay, so
You know the big twist, right?
I know the big twist.
You know what I'm talking about. Okay.
We're not gonna that shall not be discussed. But okay. So cigars. So you have alcohol, coffee, and cigars. I thought it was interesting that you had cigars in space as well.
Every once in a while.
Yeah,
You have a good stogie.
Right?
Like Schwarzenegger says.
Right? Oh, speaking of which, okay, so that reminds me. Total Recall. The taxis, you have taxis and you have the autonomous taxis. And I remember
That's Philip K. Dick, right? Total Recall? No, it wasn't.
Yeah. No, is it? I thought it was. Well, I know
thought it was too.
Minority Report. What popped into my head was Johnny Cab.
Johnny Cab, yeah.
Johnny Cab popped into my head when they got into the cab, and I was like, oh my God, it's Johnny Cab. I was like, Total Recall. And so I don't know if it's I don't mean to be offensive by associating other things with your.
They were autonomous. There's no droid in it. They were kind of autonomous, but that would be awesome if there was droid Remy flips out. Get out of here! What are you doing? Do a little Arnold. I love that scene. Honestly, I love that scene where Arnold's ripping Johnny Cab out, and there's bullets going around, the cars spinning. It was Total Recall is an incredible movie. The Arnold version is one of my favorites.
Yes. Oh my! I was blown away by the special effects of that, especially like when the face like peels open, like the woman, and it's him. Like everything about that movie, I just loved everything about that movie. And it's funny, I was never really a sci-fi reader, but I love sci-fi movies until I took my science fiction class at university. And then we had to deep dive, and so that's where we had Ursula Le Guin, Philip K. Dick, Harlan Ellison. Like we tapped into all of these, classic Heinlein, Robert Heinlein, all of these guys. And I didn't realize that science fiction was so psychology and philosophy.
Yeah. Speaking of philosophy, there's a character in the second novel that his name is Marcus Zeno, and he was inspired by Stoic philosophy. His character I said, I'm going to make him a Stoic because he's got to be Zen when he's on the course. He has to be Zen. He's got to be focused, so he's going to be a Stoic.
And you did say there's going to be more, so I'm totally stoked for the prequel. So I haven't even finished book 2, but I'm totally in for the prequel.
Appreciate it.
So if you need beta readers, I'm in.
Awesome.
Your last question. Is there anything else that you are working on?
I am working on another work in progress right now. I'm querying it. It's the Grim Reaper wants to take a mortal vacation, and she steals someone's body is what's happening. She gets tired of her duties, and she jumps into a mortal's body, steals his body, takes it for a little vacation, and craziness ensues from there. He gets a second chance at revenge because he gets resurrected from hell by a paralegal who's turned into an afterlife advisor. It's a little guy named Frank Rosenbaum. It's a comedy horror, and he gets to have his revenge, but he can only do it in the body that heaven has available, which is the 12-year-old body of a former ballerina who's the body's on loan to him. So he's got to fight her with that 12-year-old body, and
it's freaking
ballet.
Awesome.
Ballet is a martial art, I guess.
I love it, and it's definitely a skill. I mean, there's a lot of balance. You got to have a strong core.
Mm-hmm.
That's totally cool. And do you have a website that
rkhiggins.com? I love your show. I love what you're doing, and thanks for putting so much positivity out there in the Instagram community and into the world. You're awesome. You are so awesome. Thanks for doing what you're doing.
No, thank you. And like I said, I feel the same way. Like I said, when I'm having a down moment, I literally pull up your memes and I just crack myself up with your memes. Like I just
that's the goal. I want to make people, because it's a sad world we live in sometimes. I just want to make people stop in there, have a smile, and have a good day.
100%. That's genuine. Like you can feel that. Like you're not just putting that crap out there just to be like, yeah, I'm this, I'm this positive guy, come visit my page. Like, you can tell, like, you're like, no, come check this out. Like, hey, look at this. And like I said, you can see that like with your kids, with the pets. And so that's why I go in and I blow up your page. Like, I just have fun and just blow up your page. I go in and
appreciate it.
So thank you. I love what you did with Afterburn. I'm looking forward to Blood Rush as well. And your comedy horror sounds amazing. So you keep writing, and you've got a fan. So I'm here for whatever crazy words you want to put together. I'm definitely in.
They're going to be crazy, I'll tell you that. But thank you so much.
Thank you. You have a lovely evening. And I was wondering, could you send us off with my tagline, go forth and be magical?
I've heard this tagline. Can I say it in a special way?
Please. Yeah.
All right, let's do this. Go forth and be magical. Thank you.